You're out camping late one night, and you hear an owl's eerie hoot nearby. As you turn to face the sound, you're met with the owl's big, yellow, piercing eyes staring straight at you, and you wonder, is it friend or foe? Owls have fought a long and lonely battle throughout history, going from being known as taboo to being the admired creatures that they are today. According to Marianne Taylor's 2016 book, Owls, A Guide to Every Species in the World, owl fossils have actually dated back to 60 million years ago. And according to Bruce Marcotte, in his 2012 article, Owls in Lore and Culture, owls have been negatively associated to evil and death in many different cultures throughout history. And although they are breathtakingly beautiful, the tools that they possess leave them silent but deadly. In Cornell University's 2019 article, All About Birds, A Bird's Guide, it states that there are 250 different species of owls and that they live almost everywhere except for Antarctica. And not only that, but these little owls have to fight beak and talon from hatching just to make it out into the world. Looking at the history, tools, and lifestyles of owls, you too will see why these are such fascinating creatures. To begin, we can look at the history of owls. Many different cultures have associated owls to being taboo and bringers of death and evil. Marcotte states that stories have actually been told of owls dating all the way back to the Paleolithic era. And if you go to France, you can find cave wall paintings of a snowy white owl family. And there have been different variations of owl stories throughout all of history. Ancient Greeks actually used to put owls on their coin in order to represent the goddess Athena, who, although is now known as the goddess of wisdom, back then was known as the goddess of darkness. But most notably, owls can be found in Native American, African American, European, and Asian cultures. From being a dangerous taboo, owls have been now integrated into our everyday life, for anything from restaurant signs to children's stories and even some of our favorite movies, if I have any Harry Potter fans out there. Next, although they may not be the smartest birds out there, the tools that an owl possesses make it a truly fierce predator. To start, we can look at their eyes. The National Geographic's article on owls states that an owl's eyes actually make up 3% of its total body mass, which is pretty insane considering that ours only make up 0.02% of our own body mass. And not only that, but because they're set in a human's head to face forward and don't move, an owl will actually be able to turn its head 270 degrees to the right and left and 90 degrees up and down to get a full scale of its surroundings. Not only that, but according to Taylor, their beaks and talons are so strong that they actually can catch a variety of prey ranging from insects to even baby deer. By looking at an owl wings, Taylor states that towards the tips of it, you can see that they're very thin and serrated, almost comb-like, which allows them to fly silently. But most of all, an owl's hearing is by far its strongest tool. According to the Owl Trust Foundation's 2017 article, Understanding Owls, an owl's ears are actually asymmetrical, meaning that one is generally bigger than the other and typically placed higher than the other. This system is so powerful that an owl can hunt basically on sound alone. Lastly, we'll look at the lifestyles of owls. From hatching, these birds will have to fight beak and talon just to make it out into the world. And their competition starts with their own siblings. According to the Owl Research Institute's 2017 All About Owls, and a mother owl will actually lay between 1 to 14 eggs throughout her entire mating season. And it really just depends on the food supply of the year. And because their eggs hatch between 1 to 2 days apart, the oldest owls always get fed first since they have a higher chance of survival. And this means that the last hatch may not eat it on, may actually have to starve to death. Once the owlets are old enough to leave the nest, they spend most of their lives alone until mating season starts in the late winter. And then once they do find their mate by sky dancing or offering food, The male owls will typically scope out the general area of where they can have their nest, but the females will pick out the precise location of where she wants the nest. It's compromise, happy house, happy spouse, happy house. Once their own owlets are old enough to leave the nest, the owls will go their separate ways until next mating season, and it just starts all over again. In conclusion, by looking at the tools, lifestyles, and history of owls, you can see why they're such fascinating and beautiful creatures. Although they've been given a bad rep for most of history, they've really come a long way to be integrated into our everyday lives, and the tools that they possess leave them strong and fierce predators. And although they spend most of their time alone, hidden in the shadows, if you ever get the chance to see one, it is nothing short of breathtaking.